invite you to join in an attitude of prayer. Oh God, we give you thanks for gathering together members of the City Commission this evening as they begin their work through this evening. We pray your presence with them, to guide them and to give them the wisdom and insight that they might need as they deal with those issues that will come before them. We are thankful for the city staff, for those who work here in City Hall, and for those who take care of the streets and the parks and improve the quality of life for the citizens of this community. And we pray that we might be mindful of all those who are part of this community from birth to grave. We ask that for the youngest that they will have environments that are safe and nurturing, where they might grow and as they begin life, and in ways that will prepare them for the adventures of life and for learning and developing into the people you would have them be. Pray for the school children of our community, that they might have schools that are the best that they can possibly be, with teachers that are enthusiastic and interested in what happens with them and providing the very best education. We ask your presence with the school board members and for others who have a part in making our schools as good as they can be. We rejoice that the community has the community college here, and we are excited by the lives that those young people live, and we pray that the experience they have here in our community be one that enriches them and prepares them to go on and to live lives that are able to make a contribution in whatever community they might live. We give you thanks for those who are in the midst of life, those generative years, those who are the workers and the doers, those who are the entrepreneurs who just make things happen in our community. And for them, we pray that their work might be enjoyable, it might be challenging, and that it might provide for them a living that is good, and for their families also. And we are mindful of those who have reached those retirement ages, and we give you thanks for those who see those as years that they can contribute and make a contribution in the community in which they live. And we give you thanks for so many who do use their lives in that way. And we are mindful of those then who have come to those later years. We pray that they might have situations where they are cared for, where their needs are met, and where they might experience as much joy as possible. So hold us all in your care, and we pray for those who have a place in providing that which is best for each and every citizen of this community. Be with us all, we ask, always in the name of the one who came not to be served, but to serve. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. 2 items on the agenda. After the resolutions item concerning the treatment plant financing, we'll ask you to consider the letter of engagement for the marketing assistance that we are receiving from our marketing agent on the bonds. And that was a late arrival. We emailed you copies just today, and you have copies in front of it. It's the gentleman, Mr. Burris, who was here to talk to us last meeting. And also, I ask that you add an executive session for confidential business material following the one that's now on the agenda.
Okay. Start with the approval of the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Sacco and seconded by Commissioner Pounds to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 meeting. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to financial matters, appropriation ordinance number 5.
I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance number 5.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Pounds, seconded by Commissioner Parker to approve appropriation ordinance number 5. Is there any further discussion? The only question I had, and I don't know if we have an answer, but it looks like we're purchasing the vehicle. Do we know when we'll take possession of it? The police vehicle, the Intercept? Or that's the Dodge?
I think we have, you know, taken possession, I know we were in the chat.
I think do we already have it and it's being taken care of?
The vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
No, we're supposed to be getting it anytime.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. At this time, we'd like to open the floor for any public comments. Anyone that would like to come forward and address the commission? Seeing none, at this time we will close public comments. Moving on to appointments for the library board.
You have in front of you the request of the library for the appointments of board members, and one of the two expressions of interest, and the other one was supplied later, and you have it at your seats. And we recommend that you would acquiesce in the library board's recommendations.
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
I second it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco and seconded by Commissioner Hash to approve the two recommendations for the library board. Is there any further discussion? Now that I have the opportunity to sit on the library board, I can tell both these, Janice, who's been serving on it, is doing a nice job, and they're excited to see what Mr. Murphy is able to offer, and he'll be replacing. I could have told his name right before it escaped me, but they're both competent, so. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to the College Drive Park contract.
About 2 meetings ago, when you signed a real estate contract with Edison Development Group LLC, that was for a potential retail business going into some of our South Development property. That contract's addendum included a clause that allowed the potential buyer to cancel the contract if they were unable to work out satisfactory terms with the lessee that they had been negotiating with. That's what happened. They were not able to work out terms that would work for the lessee and for them on the property, so they have sent us a cancellation agreement that they request we sign. In the context of all that, as I mentioned in the memo, discussions have taken place in recent weeks with several parties interested in that tract or the tracts around it from one perspective or another that have come to you and to me from various directions. These things have increasingly been weighing on my mind, and I wonder if it isn't time for us to pursue, if we can, some type of an overall policy as to how we will weigh offers for we may receive for the use of that land, bearing in mind that unlike a private owner, the city can take a long view, and it should have as its goal the public interest rather than a profit on a transaction. And how do you weigh in the number of possible employees, the capital investment, the taxable characteristics, or if they're paying property tax or if they're not, all of that. And since we have invested about $1 million of TIF money in the lots around the area and the water and sewer lines that serve them, I think it might be politic and appropriate for us to consult with the other taxing entities whose property taxes contribute to the TIF fund and see if they have goals or ideas with respect to how they would like to see the property develop. That is something I would be glad to pursue, but It's not something we've really discussed before, so I wanted to raise the subject with you this evening.
I like your idea, that I do think the city needs to come up with a formula and base it off number of jobs, taxes we gain, whether it's a new service or a new business in town versus we have in town. I have a problem with mixing the public with the private. And the reason being, the private has their own special interest, and that is to make as much money as they can off of it. And it's a short-term look. Whereas the city, we have to look at what's best for the public and what long-term goals we will benefit for the city versus short-term. And so again, I like the idea of, we need to come up with a formula, but I have a problem bringing in the public sector and sitting down with them and coming up with a group plan, knowing that their priorities are completely different than ours.
But I do think it's a good idea to get people together to discuss it, talk about it, try to come up with a plan. And so, I mean, I would suggest a study session at the next meeting.
It seems like the most prudent way to move forward with whatever we might be moving forward with.
My real emphasis here is to have a public discussion on this matter so that people understand what we're doing and why we're trying to do it, how we're approaching it, and possibly come up with the formula, or at least have some idea of why we're doing what we're doing on it.
To me, it seems that the conversation about how we might proceed might be best met under a different agenda item other than the specific contract cancellation,
Yes.
which might be best served in a study session.
Yes,
I
I
agree.
just thought since we were bringing up the subject here.
Sure.
We'll do that then, and I'm sorry, any other comments? We'll put it on the study session for the next meeting, and just let everyone know who's involved, they're invited to come talk to us if they like.
Or Larry, before we put it on public study session, are we better off at least have some kind of thoughts about how to accomplish it ourselves, to throw out to the public and then get their views on our approach?
One thing
Versus just
that,
going cold blank and
Yeah.
not having anything on on the deal.
To me, it would seem to be most ideal to have a conversation before opening up to a general conversation, and not in light of keeping that information, but before talking about a plan, let's talk about what kind of plan we want to talk about.
Right.
And then we can address that in a broader capacity and whatever would be the most appropriate moving forward from there. But to just start with a study session next time, it seems maybe it's taking a step beyond
Yeah.
the conversation.
Listen to everybody first.
I'm sorry?
Are you saying listen to everybody first? Or are you saying-
Primarily, just,
Primarily, the commissioners
Yeah,
and you and maybe some of the other city, we come up with a game plan that we think works. And then we present it, and then we get the feedback back and
pardon me, but
forth.
I'm not sure if you two commissioners are in agreement or have different views here. Were you saying, Mayor Lamberts, that you thought we should listen to everybody first, or were you agreeing with Commissioner Sackler we should come up with something first?
Well, I also think we need to involve, at the very least, Cloud Corp in this
Yes,
discussion.
absolutely, and they have
I
been.
mean, that's kind of what you do, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
And Ashley and I have been talking about
Mhm.
this.
Okay, good.
so the question that I have is whether it'd be a prudent conversation to have amongst the commissioners and Cloud Corp before opening it up to the other TIF partners, as opposed to having our next meeting being with the commission, Cloud Corp, and all the other TIF partners. I'm certainly not wanting to exclude the TIF partners. Certainly, they've been great partners within this, but that it might be best for us to have a plan amongst ourselves and then have that discussion as a broader discussion.
Part of that is, we have some occasion to discuss particulars of individual proposals that come to us from businesses, because those often involve confidential information about the business itself and its nature and so forth and so on, that they need to disclose to us but don't want to disclose publicly unless the deal goes over. That's why we have executive sessions.
Certainly.
for. But if we're just talking in general about the property, we don't really have the same confidential aspect going on. So I think any discussion we were having along these lines that's not particular to a given business needs to be a public discussion.
Well, I think in a study session, it would be public, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be for the specific purpose of engaging TIF partners.
Okay, so in other words, we could just have a study session amongst ourselves, and then, I might let people know what we're doing, and then say we're gonna invite everybody to a later one if that's something like that.
In my mind, that would be,
No, you're on the wrong page. I just think we need to have an outline in our own minds on what we'd like to see, and then throw it out, and then other people can give us, well, yes,
Yeah.
but well, how about this, and how about that? And then we expand on it.
the first study session would be, I mean, it certainly is on the agenda, it's open for anyone to attend the study session, that's certainly a public environment. But that the second study session, which I would anticipate would come out of the first, would then be for the specific purpose of having that discussion with the additional TIF partners as a very specific point of conversation, which would also be open to the same public that would be entitled. But the focus would be a primary conversation about what are we thinking as a city body. Then the secondary study session, which would most likely come out of that primary one, would then be how do we have this discussion with the TIF partners to move with an agreeable plan as a whole.
For material, for consideration on the next study session, I think I may include in the agenda the facts and figures concerning our investment in the property and that sort of a thing, so
Right.
it's there for us to discuss.
I think that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah,
Great,
I'm
thank
okay
you.
with that.
Then I'd ask that you take action on the cancellation agreement.
Make a motion to cancel it.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco and seconded by Commissioner Parker to sign the cancellation agreement and mutual release with Ensign Development Group LLC. Is there any further discussion? All those in, I don't want to say favor, I don't think any of us are in favor, but all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to new business, the wastewater treatment plant bids.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Sarah Unruh with PEC. As you're aware, the letter up here is an indication of the bids that we took for the Phase 1 wastewater treatment plant work. Those bids were collected last week on March the 7th. We reviewed all of those bids. 4 bids were received, and the low bid was APAC Kansas, Inc. At 6% below the engineer's estimate. The total bid, as you can see in the letter, was $2,348,353. We reviewed all of the bids, found this to be in order, and we're recommending award to APAC for this contract. Anybody have any questions about the bid, or?
How long is, have they, APAC Kansas been in business?
I am not 100% sure, but they've been around a long time. I've done projects with them for a very long time. They started out as a street contractor, and I believe they've been doing some work here in Concordia. And I've done projects with them for probably at least 10 or 15 years, so I know they've been around quite a bit longer than that.
Never had a problem?
No. Not, I have not, no.
Okay.
And they've done, they still have the street division, then they have another division which does the water lines and the plant work and all that kind of stuff, and that'd be the division that would be doing this work. They're out of Hutchinson.
Okay.
What's the estimated timeline for start and completion?
Sure. The total contract time is approximately a year. It's like 370 days, I think. And it seems like a really long time, but part of that is that it takes about 4 to 5 months to get some of this equipment manufactured and pulled together. That's why the contract time itself is so long. Our next step will be to issue a notice of award upon approval by the commission of the bid. And then our next step will be to put together a pre-construction meeting where we have the contractor come in and we sit down and we go over schedule and when they plan to be on site and all those kinds of things and get everything nailed down. Typically, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks once we issue the contracts to get all of that stuff back and everybody signed and completely executed. Then we issue that notice of award, or notice to proceed, excuse me. And at that point, that's when the time starts for the contract. So at this point, I would see the contract being finished probably maybe like next April, May, something in that time frame, depending on how long it takes us to get all that paperwork through.
Thank you.
Well, I'll move that we accept the bid from APAC Kansas Incorporated for $2,348,353. on the water treatment plant, phase one.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Parker and seconded by Commissioner Hash to approve the low bid from APAC Kansas Incorporated for the wastewater treatment plant improvements. Is there any further discussion? I'm pleased that it came in at 6% under the estimate. Doesn't seem like that happens as often as we would like. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Might take a moment if you wouldn't mind and sign that so we can do Sarah, she can be on her way.
You don't want to stick around for the rest of the meeting?
But I've already been in Concordia and Salon today.
Oh my gosh, you've been everywhere.
You want your-
The students, you have to stay.
Go out and fill out the blanks then.
Well, we never really lived there.
Is that okay? Thanks, Sarah. Thank you again. Moving on to the Panther Pride Pharmacy Downtown Improvement Grant.
We had a downtown improvement grant come forward from Brian Bombardier, who's here with us tonight. He's going to talk here in a second about his project. But I'll go over the application with you real quickly. And as you recall, there wasn't funding this year that you allocated for this budget year, but we had funding left over from previous years. So we have enough to cover this project and perhaps one more after this. So if you go to that, the first page here, it shows that they are eligible for $2,285.32, which is 45% of the project, the total project amount. What they are doing, if you've been downtown to past the old daylight, they took the initiative to really open up that facade and displayed, there's the old daylight, what it looked like. Oh, if we can go back. Sorry, there it is right there. And then down below, I don't know if you can scroll up, Amber, on that or not. That is a picture of what it used to look like.
Oh, wow.
Brian, when was that, the teens? In the teens. And so they heard that window might still be there, so they went ahead and opened it up and they found it, which is pretty incredible. And so I'll let Brian talk a little bit about his project and what they plan to do, if you don't mind.
Okay. My name is Brian Bombardier. I'm the owner of Panther Pride Pharmacy. And so what we're wanting to do is exactly that picture right there. We did the demo work already, so we opened it up, and we're having Leisler Construction create that wall there, put insulation on the inside, and then that window on the backside needed some. It's there. It's a very old window, and so it needed to put in some stabilizing caulk or something, whatever it is that how they stabilize old windows, because it's been covered by so long that now that the wind's hitting it, it's starting to move a little bit. So that was an added expense. And then we're going to put up this sign. Wildside Graphics has quoted us a sign coming out just as it shows right there. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Hey, tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah, okay. Well, I currently own 3 other pharmacies out of town. This is not associated with those. This is my own private corporation. So what I'm going to do is I'm a pharmacist by trade, obviously, so I want to put a pharmacy in there, but my wife also wants to run a front-end business there. So if you remember the Daylight building, it's quite large, and there's a lot of built-ins in there. We donated all the built-ins to the museum, and so she's going to have like a front-end local pride shop kind of basically in the front. So it'll sell, pride clothing, stuff that has Panthers, pom-poms, and then she also has a craft business that she like creates like ouchie owls and stuff like that. I mean, it's hard for me to explain. I'm not really into that.
I've got a
stuff.
couple toddlers. We have
Okay.
ouchie owls
Okay, good.
in the freezer.
So, I mean, it's going to have a large section of that in the front, and then my pharmacy stuff will be in the back.
Very nice.
All right.
Any other questions?
I'm really excited that you found that window. My
We
daughter
were
attends
too.
daycare pretty close by, and it's been fun to see.
Yeah.
I was really nervous though, because if you look in there, he also had to fill in a hole in that archway with some stucco. That for some reason they ripped out a big square back in the old. I don't know what they did because there was nothing going through it. Maybe it was just damaged and they decided to cover up. I don't know, but it looks really sharp. And once we paint it, it'll look even better.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Make the
Well,
downtown
yeah.
look even better.
Your
Yeah.
wife as well.
It's absolutely beautiful. I'm very impressed. And just as an aside, for all of the students who are here, didn't you graduate from Concordia
I
High
am a
School?
Concordia High School graduate.
Okay,
Born and
great.
raised here. Yes.
So do you and your wife live here?
We do.
Okay,
I-
very nice.
Yeah, no, I left for college, served 3 years in the Army, Iraq and Korea and Colorado, and then we came back after I went to pharmacy school after that, moved back to Concordia, took a job at Funk's here years ago. Then I had an opportunity to buy 3 other pharmacies in central Kansas,
Okay,
and so now I'm looking to expand to my hometown.
very good. So see, you can go away and come back.
Yes,
That's
I'd
right.
like to see more people do that.
Yeah.
So would we.
Mhm.
Well, I'll move that we approve a downtown Concordia improvement grant for Panther Pride Pharmacy for $2,285.32.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Pound, seconded by Commissioner Parker to approve the Panther Pride Pharmacy Downtown Improvement Grant, the amounts stated, using residual funds from previous years. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to federal funds exchange. Sorry, Ron.
It's okay. This is what we're exchanging federal funds into KDOT funds. And it costs you 10%, and then you can use these on projects that you got here in town. These funds have been for 18th Street up there is what we're gonna use them on. I've already called them and told them earlier when we decided to do 18th Street that we was gonna use all the funds then. So I'll probably send them a letter when I send this in, if you guys approve it, to transfer these funds. That, let them know again that we're gonna be using them on. And we have, to date, 301,000 in there to use. So, it'll help. Is there any other questions on
You
that?
said 302?
301, 500.
Okay. So this will leave us about 240, give or take. Is that right?
What's that now?
Using all
Yes, we're using all of it.
Okay.
of this,
We're using 300, the whole thing.
Okay, I thought it was just.
Good.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Transfer the funds. For the mayor to sign the thing here to transfer the funds.
I second the motion to transfer the funds.
So moved by Commissioner Sacco and seconded by Commissioner Hash to transfer the funds for the federal funds exchange for the 18th Street project. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thanks.
Motion passes. Thanks, Ron. Moving on to the manager's report.
I have a picture here. Okay. This house is at 433 West 8th Street in Concordia. It's empty now, has been foreclosed on by Wells Fargo. They contacted us last week and offered to deed it to us and give us $8,000 to help deal with it.
How much?
8,000. This is, you'll recall that we did one on 4th Street a couple years ago, and that one was sold by us at public offering and was purchased and has been rehabilitated and is occupied, so that would work very well. And on that one, they gave us $8,000 and we added that in the deal so that the buyer was able to use that money, then had to show us that they were using it on the house, so that all worked well. This one, Bruno and I walked through yesterday. I'll let you ask his reflections if you'd like, but to me, it looks like this one's a knockover. I don't think it has the potential to be fixed up the way the one on Fourth Street did. So maybe we'd have other thoughts on that, but first of all, I'd suggest we accept the deal either way, but I think it's most likely that we will end up using the $8,000 to knock it over and clean up the lot.
What's it cost to knock it over?
5,000 or so
5,000.
up,
Okay,
It seems like what it's,
yeah.
5, 6.
And by the time you go in and maybe do some things on the lot or whatever, so.
What was the address again?
433 West 8th.
Okay.
There's another
Oh.
house right next to it that needs our attention also, but other than those two
Yeah,
houses
it
side
used
by
to be a
side.
daycare, I think. There used to be a daycare there.
Was
That's
there?
the one we read in the
Yeah,
paper.
I think so.
You know, I think my daughters went there.
Janet Morgan. Yeah. Daycare there.
Yeah.
So there are the two houses there on that block, and the whole rest of the neighborhood's in pretty good shape,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to.
The foreclosure bank doesn't see a problem with, they deed it to us that we doze it.
In their email, they specifically mentioned demolition.
Okay.
They've kind of lightened up their terms. The first time they contacted us about the first house, we turned them down because their deal was that we would take it and use it, operate as a low-income rental. We said, no, we don't want to do that. So they emailed us back and said, how about we just give it to you? And they offered $5,000. We said, well, how about $8,000? They said, okay. So I wondered ever since then how much money we left on the table. But on this one, they're just saying, you can have the house. We want it to, either be demolished or fixed up, in some way promote the community, enhance the community, but do what you want.
Okay.
So if it's okay with you, I'll accept the deal, and then we'll go from there with further recommendation.
How big of a lot is that, Mike?
Standard size lot, Bruno?
I think it's a standard lot, 5,800 square feet,
44,
24, okay.
yeah.
might be a little wider, I think.
There's an old garage building in back that probably come down to clear off everything there.
Have neighbors on either side that interested in the lot?
Neighbor on the west has a nice house, and maybe the house on the immediate east is another problem for us. So it's quite possible. It's also big enough that, you could go in there with a small new place and put a home in there.
So
You can
is this
build a
between
wall.
state and Cedar?
Republican and Cedar.
Okay.
Because it's a
Yeah.
block over.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it looks like there's an open lot on the south side of that, in the middle of the street.
Yeah, there is, because they demolished a house a couple years ago.
Okay.
So if we go ahead and take this, then what procedures would we have to do to go ahead and demolish it?
Well, we would own it at that time, so we
So we
wouldn't
could
have
just
to-
do it whenever we wanted to?
Yeah. And we have a procedure, we let the people interested know about it, the people who do the demolitions for us,
Okay,
and we take bids on it,
take bids.
that sort of thing.
It really comes down, we don't have much of a choice. We can say no and watch it slowly
Yes.
Further
deteriorate.
Yeah, I think-
deteriorate.
Yeah.
Or just
Well,
go in
this-
and
that's
where we
pay
get the money
8,000,
to
take
do
it
it,
down.
and-
Yeah.
And this is
Do
enough
it at
money
our
to deal
pace.
with it,
Yeah.
and, maybe if we have more money left over, we could replace the sidewalk, that sort of thing.
But it seems that from that point on, we're gonna have to mow it, and
Till we get it sold, yeah.
so
that's
I'd
the
go back and
issue.
try to negotiate a little higher price, a little more cash from them. Can't hurt.
You can try,
Try.
I've been wondering, okay, I'll ask if we can get 10 out of it.
There you go. Good.
And then take 8.
But failing that, we'll take it.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. And that's all I had for comments, unless you had anything for me.
Commissioner comments?
I'm good this time.
I got a comment. I wish Chief Voss was here. So I'm gonna commend him on the job they did the last couple of days handling his fires and keeping them contained. And especially on this last one, that he had the knowledge to get his people out of that house before the roof collapsed, and then contain it. And just want to commend him and his whole staff for keeping them fire under control and the whole thing. I mean, they did a great job.
Thank you, we'll pass that along, we gave Eric the evening off from the commission meeting.
Yes, but do pass that on to him, because
And, well, but the person who is here tonight, who also deserves mention, is Ron Coppola. watched some of this afternoon. He was over there with our front end loader. Because of the nature of the content of the house, they weren't able to put out the fire. The house was too crowded and stuff. So he basically just took the whole thing apart one big scoop at a time. And there were a number of times when he was holding some flaming stuff up in the scoop while the fire department water on.
So that was you running that
That was
front
all
end
one
loader, huh?
did. He had the whole neighborhood for an audience.
Somebody told me it was you, Bernard. I said, no. Impossible.
Well, good.
Good job, Rob.
You bet. Thanks.
Nothing gets the town together more than a crisis, right?
You did good.
Commissioner Parker? Cash? I don't have any comments either. Moving on to staff comments.
This is an opportunity to introduce our new recreation commissioner, Walter. Well, it's recreation. Okay. So, actually, I found very quickly that he could speak for himself. But I don't speak for himself.
Hello, Mayor Commissioners. As I said before the meeting, my name's Chris Curtis. I'm the new Recreation and Wellness Director, started on Monday. So 3 days in, I'm at my first commission meeting. Thankfully, I don't have anything on the agenda. It won't grill me too hard. But I have about 16 years of previous Parks and Recreation experience. Spent time in Salina, Dodge City, back to Salina. Most recently, I got out of the profession for about a year and a half and was doing some on-the-road sales, and that was catching up with me at my advanced age. So I wanted to get back to my first love and my passion, and so I'm glad to be here in Concordia and look forward to getting to know the community and working with all the folks here in town. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
I worry that if you got off of the former job because it was taking a toll, that we have some work ahead of you. But
Well,
I'm excited to have you here. I really am optimistic of the opportunities we have.
Thank you. The biggest part was spending more time in the airport.
Sure.
And this big storm in the Northeast, I understand what it's like to be stuck in an airport for traveling the past year and a half. So I like having control of my destiny and where I'm headed. So
We're awfully glad to have you.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Glad to be here. So,
Welcome, Chris.
thank you. Anything else from anybody? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fairly hesitant to ask twice, but any other staff comments? All right, we'll move right along then to resolutions. 2017-2054 treatment plant financing.
That's a long ways away.
This is a resolution that authorizes the sale of our general obligation bond. You'll notice that, previously we passed the amount of $2.835 million, and the next page shows that the actual amount that we will have, I believe, is $2,415,000 that we will be bonding, so less interest cost there, less money. Also, you'll notice in the resolution that it talks about authorizing or approving the preliminary official statement. As you know, I sent you that this morning. So I spoke with Kevin Cowan, and he said that we would not need to sign that tonight, the certificate approving that, but we would sign the resolution. So the resolution authorizes us to do that at a later date. The resolution does need to be signed tonight, but at our next meeting, after you've had a chance to review it, if you have any comments, we can make changes, and then we can sign that certificate at the next meeting. So basically, unless you have any questions, we just need authorization to sign that resolution.
Well, move that we authorize the signing of the 2017-2054, which is the treatment plant financing.
Is that the letter of engagement?
And we'll do that after.
Oh, okay. I second it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Hash to approve Resolution 2017-2054. Is there any further discussion?
I had a question, I don't know whether Amber can answer this or not, on the official bid form. And it shows the annual rate for each year. Why wouldn't that be the same rate for the whole 20-year term.
I think that's because the bond, they will actually pay a little more money for a different term, in other words, a shorter term bond, I don't know if it runs now. Depending on the exact term, they ladder these bonds out, they don't have the same.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
And-
We had that with my SBA stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, it just seemed
I think it
like they
does-
bid on each year of the 20-year bond seems kind of silly.
And the further away you get on an interstate, the more that can affect the interest rate, because the buyer's buying these now, so they're kind of speculating on what the interest rate's gonna be 10 years from now, 15 years from now. So then they kind of blend all these rates for our overall rate. That's how I
To come up with an overall rate,
Yeah,
not a,
bond council, but
yeah.
that's how I do it.
okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Resolution 2017-2054 passes.
I will also say that we decided to go with the 15-year repayment, and it looks like, given the smaller amount of the bond, that we can do this one as 15 years, possibly do the next phase as 15 years if we wanted to add on our $5 fee in 2018 and maybe even wait till 2019. Or at some point, we're going to have to add an additional fee. We could do a lesser fee and do a 20-year bond for our second phase, but we can kind of wait and see, I think, as the engineering plays out for the second phase, what kind of cost we're looking at. But that's why we went with the 15-year, and at budget time, we can talk about if we need to add an additional fee or not.
The sooner we can get it off, the better, I think.
And I'll also point out that the difference between the 15-year and the 20-year bond was about $250,000, I think. So that's why we want to
Take it
try
down
to
to
go
14.
less.
Yeah, pay all that interest.
Okay, and then this is the fiduciary engagement agreement. So this is between us and George K. Bond.
And this just lets them take this to market, right? Is that?
Yeah.
They're our marketing agent.
And hopefully he answered all your questions the last time he was here.
I'll make a motion, we accept that.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Sacco, seconded by Commissioner Parker, to sign the letter of engagement for the marketing of the bond. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion passes. At this time, we'll adjourn to an executive session for the discussion of non-elected personnel for a period of
This is Commissioner Sacco's.
Right, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Any other invitation? Just the commission?
Yes, just the commission, I'm sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We will adjourn for an executive session for a period of 5. No action was taken. This time would move to adjourn for an executive session to discuss confidential business matters for a period of. Sorry. You're right. I gotta pay attention. How long are we gonna meet for the confidential business matters?
10 minutes, probably.
Oh, you want 10 or you want 15?
Are we going into that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, I didn't hear you all.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
For a period of 10 minutes, inviting.
Inviting me.
Okay.
Does Ashley need to be, or just you?
No, she doesn't.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.